Welcome to The Sear Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at The Sear Show.
5, 4, 2, 0.
Good morning, Nikki. How are you?
Good morning, Sifu. I am excellent. How are you?
Exceptional and getting better every day.
Always.
You know, every day, if I'm not looking to improve, and then what am I doing?
Well, that's right. We've always got to be growing, expanding.
Yeah, I don't want to live Groundhog Day over and over
Oh,
again.
no. That is not fun.
I have to tell you, my life is so filled with joy because of the people I get to meet, the people I get to engage with, like you, and our next guest.
Oh, I've already enjoyed talking with him.
Right, and they call it the green room, but it's really what people haven't seen. That's what I like. People how they say in the green room, and then wait a minute, I think Scott's walking down the hallway from the green room, and let's bring him on in. Here he is.
Whew. Man, that was a long walk.
Long walk. We used to have the green room in another state, but we moved it closer. And I know that you're in Dallas. How's that?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so much fun to be able to be with y'all. So life is good.
Being here. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So authority building, I'm just going to leave it there. What are your thoughts? Authority building.
It's a good thing. Oh, you want more than that?
That's it. Show's over. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one.
Mic drop. No. I mean, it's the people buy from those they perceive to be the authority. Actually, if they are the authority or not is almost irrelevant. It's if they think you are the authority. So it's really, which is proved in the age of influence, quite frankly. There's so many people who are influencers that really are not authorities. But true authorities are those who have taken the time, the effort, the financial commitments, everything that it takes to become a student of their industry, a product of their product, and to really have a desire to play the greatest game that they can play in whatever it is they're doing. All you can do is maximize yourself. You can't be anything more than that, but becoming the best you can be to be able to share the knowledge, the experience, the expertise, and the wisdom that comes along with that to others. And that's why as we get more mature, that's code word for older, as we become more mature, we have the ability to share that wisdom if we make the choice to do so. And I've raised my hand and I said, I'm all in for as long as I'm on the planet. So that's why I appreciate opportunities like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You made me think of a profession that is very old, and is doctors, right? Medicine and so forth. And we see it every so often. Some doctor is arrested who's actually not a doctor. He was playing doctor. He was playing with people's lives. And it's such a shame that all they needed to do was get the schooling, do the thing that so they can actually call themselves doctor. But so many people have been caught, thank God. Unfortunately, they hurt too many people along the way. When they're almost like influencers, right? they say they're doing it, right? I love the image of the influencer who's actually looks like he's on a jet, but it's actually the toilet bowl cover, and he's taking pictures next to it. Interesting.
Well, I think that's a lot. In the speaking business, I've been blessed to do over 3,000 live events in my career, and I've shared the stage with every name you know. You may or may not know mine. That's fine. That wasn't my task at the time, but you know theirs. And the reality is, because of that, I've shared the stage with every good one and everyone that thought they were a good one. And there's a big difference between those two things. And it comes in heart, quite frankly, not in tactics. And unfortunately, there's so many wonderful things about social media and us being able to do this right here. I mean, you used to have to go to a TV station and actually do this and then buy airtime and all. Now you just turn it on. But what that ease has created is faux experts, faux influence. And there's a difference between somebody who's been there and done that and somebody who is telling you what you should do, and where you should be and how you should do it. And that's why I've had people say, how many events you've done? Over 3,000 live events with people sitting in chairs in front of me, frontman, 8 infomercials. I've been blessed. Are you any good? Well, you don't get asked back. You're not. I mean, the point is, you don't. Again, it's not an ego thing, but it's a you take the time to become the authority in your area of expertise, and that's the blessing. And then the desire to pass that downstream. That's the next part.
Yeah, absolutely. You and Nikki were talking earlier about NLP and all the different aspects of where people want to go with NLP. And Nikki, why do you think that building authority, even in NLP, is important as well?
Well, I think it's very important and even very much related to influence, and ethically doing so and having a positive intent behind it. And I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing for the show, and it's like we've been influencing since we were babies. I watched my little niece Giovanna, who's 1 year old, influence her pop to pick her up and hold her. So we are masters at it by the time we're adults. But yeah, it's using it. I think we are all influential in one way or another. And like I said, it's just a matter of how are you doing it, and that there's always a positive intent behind it, and it's for the greater good of everybody involved.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Babies do influence us and the way we act. Even we change the tone of our voice. We get silly. We're like, oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. All of a sudden our voice, the pitch changes, our face change, our body. It's something that babies do. The chemistry changes in us. Right. And I love that because if you think about, we have been influencing people all along, because if you think of a baby, right, we get all so sweet later. Then they're teenagers and they're like, stop what you're doing. So our body chemistry almost, or the mechanics change based on the age of the person, right? And then how do we act even towards animals, right? If it's a spider, we're like, oh, I hate spiders. Or if it's a snake. But meanwhile, if it's a puppy, oh my gosh, we want to hug it. We want to play with it. So I think that we're influenced by everything around us, and we influence everyone around us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Sifu, you and I have had this conversation many times. Classically as a sales guy and a sales trainer and a speaker, I try to demystify, or I work to demystify the whole sales conversation immediately. Everybody's selling every minute of every day. You could say it, everybody's influencing every minute of every day. Every time you open up your face and something comes out, basically it's a thought for somebody's consideration. Then they evaluate, they critically analyze, they then say something, hopefully. And now that's called a conversation. But your statement is a potential sale to them. Their statement is a potential sale to you. Sales is not a bad thing. Selling is serving. People overcomplicate all of this, and that's where in the age of influence, I talk about it all the time. Sales is 4 words: identify problem, provide solution. That's all it is. And it's when you take it past that it becomes, as Nikki said earlier, it's about the intent. And so another concept that I teach consistently is high intention, low attachment. Have a high intention of imparting something great for each and every person that you interact with, and a low attachment as to what that is specifically for either them or for you. Let it go. If all you do is have this high intention of imparting goodness, just think if we had everybody with a purposeful desire and intent to supply goodness. Wouldn't the world be a better place? I mean, logically, it has to be, right? And it's not that hard, believe it or not. A smile starts it all. Doesn't take much to start.
Scott, you train sales teams, you train all kinds of people in sales and so forth. Would you be able to clarify for us, why do people hate used car salespeople?
Well, I can nail that in a second. Okay. People buy from those they know, like, and trust. And it's imperative to have trust in the relationship, but it starts by getting to know you. And then, so I suggest that everybody acts as if, even if they know the people, act as if you don't know them. How would you act if you don't know them? Well, you'd be friendlier. Yes. So they get to know you. Then they get to like you because you're friendlier, you're smiling, you're happy, you're somebody they want to be around. No. Again, if they like you already, pretend they don't and work to get them to like you. But that's where you start to earn trust. Okay. And trust is imperative in the situation. If you look at, as an example, Webster's definition of sales, it's the exchange of a product, good, or service for an amount of money or its equivalent. So you're providing an exchange of something that is going to serve somebody. Well, I created my heart-centered selling definition to try to demystify this, which is education through communication without manipulation. In other words, we're teachers. A salesperson is simply a teacher that is communicating a message and the potential benefits that you have to offer. The reason that people get bad raps for used car people is because I don't believe they're salespeople. I believe they are manipulators. A manipulator does something for their own good. A professional does something for the customer's good. And Nikki, I know that you face this, and we just met, but I know you face this as soon as NLP, those 3 letters come up, because again, it becomes intent, right? And NLP is a powerful tool. Yeah. Done well, it's beautiful. Done with ill intent, not so much. And so again, I'm actually a defender of NLP.
I love that.
Well, no, done well, because all it's designed to do is help serve the person more appropriately. So education through communication without manipulation is what this, in my opinion, really should all be about, is become a teacher and learn how to translate that message to those you're talking to.
Yes, all the yeses. And I'm also another word that's gotten a bad rep, like Brussels sprouts, is hypnosis or hypnotherapy.
I love Brussels sprouts.
The majority don't, I think. And I've come to love them actually when prepared a certain way. But yes, Scott, it's like if more people like you spoke so beautifully and eloquently about sales, and there was this ease and the positive intent behind it and how it's education and serving, there would be a different energy around it. But we've essentially been hypnotized to think sales is bad, and that used car metaphor. And there's something about repetition and the majority of people saying something over and over again. So I think we need more people like you having conversations like this to re-hypnotize people that it's a good thing.
Thank you. Well, like I say, I share consistently. Every minute you're selling, every minute of every day. You want me to prove that? Okay, I will. How many of you have ever been on a date? You made a sale. How many of you have ever put a kid to bed? You made a sale. How many of you are married? You're better at this than you think. It's a sale. That's all it is it's an exchange of a product, good, or service. I happen to be the product that my wife said yes to. The fact is, it's a sale. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. Selling is truly serving, because all I want to do is present the features, advantages, and benefits my products, goods, and services have to offer to fulfill the prospect's needs, wants, and desires. How can that possibly be a bad thing? It only is if that's the way you frame it.
Right.
And so it's a matter of reframing.
Exactly.
Would you say children are great salespeople?
They're tremendous salespeople because they're unabashedly bold.
Oh yeah.
You know, Dad, I want a car. Dad, I want a car. Dad, I want a car. You're 12, for God's sakes. You're not getting a car. Dad, I want a car. You're 13. You're not getting a car. It gets to 16. Dad, I want a car. Oh, hell, you got your license. Here's a car. They've been selling you for years, you know, the entire process, right? They don't take no as a personal insult. They just take it as a process. And the reality is, one of the things that if somebody ever says no to you, your life did not get worse. They weren't doing business with you. They're still not doing business with you. Nothing got worse. Now, it might not have gotten better that as you might have anticipated it could, but nothing got worse. So if I know my intent is to serve you, if I say, you know, Nikki, I really believe that you will benefit from this offer. And you say, Scott, now's just not the time. I don't take that personally. What I say is, Nikki, is it okay? I hear what you're saying. Is it okay that we stay in touch until it is the right time?
I love that.
It's no more difficult than that. But that's, as a sales professional, I don't ever want to sell anybody anything. But I do always want them to buy a lot from me. Therefore, it's my responsibility to create an environment for them to want what I have, because ultimately it satisfies their needs. None of this is about me. None of this is about my product. 100% of the process is about satisfying and solving a problem for whomever you're talking to. It's that simple. And people go, can it be that simple? Yes, it is that simple. That's what people have either lost the basics, never learned the basics, or forgotten the basics. This is about creating a trusting relationship with people that know they can depend on you and the suggestions you make for them.
Oh yeah, that's why I say children are incredible salespeople, because I've seen it where I've been at a family event and a child asks mom for something and she says no, and then the kid goes to dad and says no, goes to grandma, goes, I don't know, sure, let's do it. And
moves up to the sales manager.
So what winds up happening is that the kids understand that if I keep pushing you, you're going to keep saying no, right? Until a point. But they go, wait a minute, I'm talking to the wrong audience. let me go take my information or my want to somebody else who's going to say yes. And they keep going down the line, or they'll fib a little bit and they'll go, mom will say no. And then they'll go, okay, whatever. Then they'll go say, dad, mom said to ask you if it's okay.
That's right.
No, mom never said that, right?
Right.
So it's how they reframe it so that they can get what they want. And then, of course, the kid gets in trouble later because mom's like, what are you doing? I told you no. Well, dad said yes. Now they're having a spat because of that situation.
Kids learn how to identify the decision maker very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or who they can manipulate. And that's or maybe that's why they become used car salespeople. But so manipulation is based on what we know we can get away with. What are your thoughts on authority building if we keep going in that direction of, I know what I can get away with, I know what I can fib about, I know what I can change to make somebody have a different perception? What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, well, I think unfortunately with the pandemic and with all the different things, it was one of the things that I have fought since the minute the pandemic was announced, when they said you need to social distance. And I said, it's ridiculous to social distance. I will physical distance if an expert tells me that's what's necessary for health, but we are social beings. I am going to up my social contact. I am going to call more people. I'm going to talk to more people and encourage them and love on them and give them things. My point to that whole little story there is we've been lied to about a lot of stuff. And so all of a sudden lies become the norm. Lying is not a norm. It's not the way it's supposed to be, right? We're supposed to love him and love our neighbors and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? The fact is, if you love someone else, which we're commanded to do, you don't lie. You don't, you work with a proper intention. And that's unfortunately what I think has happened. People are so caught up in, well, how many followers do you have? How many? My question is, how many followers do you know? I mean, you might have thousands upon thousands of followers, quote unquote, but how many of you do you have a trusted relationship with? And again, if everything comes down to the exchange of trust in both directions, obviously you can't lie consistently because you're breaking trust every time you do. So that's where the integrous few, the integrous lesser numbers will rise to the top, because at some point somebody will figure out, I've been lied to. And at some point you're not going to be happy about that. And so why go down that path in the first place? Why not be integrous? If somebody says, you teach sales. Yeah. And I'm proud of it. Well, why are you so proud of it? Because I really want people to do it appropriately so that they are serving people. I learned from the great Zig Ziglar, you can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. If you just think of that statement alone, I can have everything. That's cool. I like that. When I help other people have what they want. That's the charge. That's the direction. Help other people get what they want appropriately. And life is good. Again, it sounds almost simplistic, but in reality, it is. If in fact you adopt that mindset, but that's all choice. And we were given free will. Some people use it well. Some people, not so much.
Yeah. I like that focus too, Scott, focusing on how you can help others and serve others versus another option for a focus, which is, I don't want to be salesy. It's like, where do you want to put your attention?
Right. Well, when people say, I don't want to be salesy, what that means is they don't understand what sales is. That they need some training, because being salesy isn't trying to jam something down somebody's throat. Being salesy is being manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
A professional salesperson finds out your needs, wants, and desires, and then works to satisfy them. I say, when people say, Scott, what is it you do? I say, I specialize in identifying problems and providing solutions. And every once in a while, I'm even the guy who provides the solution. And they kind of chuckle a little bit. And they said, what do you mean? I said, more often than not, it will be one of my friends or connections that will be a better solution provider for you. But the only way we know that is to have a conversation. Sometimes I'm the guy. Many times I'm the traffic cop that directs you to the guy or gal. And that's okay too, because the end result and end desire is to solve your problem. Because I know if I solve your problem, you will like me. And I like that.
Sure, for sure. One of the things that I also believe in, authority building, in the age of influence, if you will, it's by the actions that you take on a daily basis, so that you can reflect back and you say, these are the things I've actually, so you can stand behind what you're promoting or what you're doing, or even behind yourself. If somebody goes, what do you do? Well, I've been doing it for so long. So time tested is also a great tool, I believe, that we can use when we're connecting with other people, letting them know that I've done the work.
Yeah.
These are the results from my work. So I started here, I'm over here. And in that process, this is what I've learned along the way. These are the mistakes I've made along the way, because it lets people know that you're genuine, that you're going to admit that you didn't know everything, and that you did your due diligence to improve once you made the mistake, not to stay in the mistake. And every time we keep doing that, we become more of an authority, even if we don't see it for ourselves, but others will see us in that regard, because based on our actions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, and again, you and I have talked about this. I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career, probably more than that, actually. But I said the same thing to every one of them when I delivered that first check. And that is, give me everything you got. And my commitment is I won't keep it. I will share it with my students and my clients, and ultimately become an extension of you. And I will give you credit for that. And so when I wanted to learn success, I buddied up with Jack Canfield. When I wanted to learn how to speak, I found the most expensive and best speaking mentor on the planet, John Childers. When I wanted to learn stock market, it was Freddie Rick and Mike Covell. And, I can tell you who the people are, because Michael Jordan, arguably the best basketball player in history, always had a coach. Why? Because you can't see you in action. Somebody else has to see you in action. And sometimes they're that little thumb in the back that gives you a little push. And sometimes they call you out on your junk. And hopefully you don't have a bunch of junk, right? But the fact is, you go learn from the best of best that's available. That's why when you were as you were prepping that question, Sifu, I was all of a sudden I had this flash in my brain of a 23-year-old life coach.
Love that.
That's a jumbo shrimp right there. I mean, at 23, you might be a teen coach. I'll give you that, because you've experienced it. But it's pretty hard to, and again, not knocking people that have that desire, but then go study and really live it. Again, one of the advantages of being on the planet for a longer period of time is, whether you like it or not, you've had a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
The only question is, have you learned from it along the way?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the whole key right there.
Yeah.
Have you learned?
Have you learned it? Yeah. And embodying it yourself. Walking the walk, as they say.
That's why I say you got to be a student of the industry.
Mhm.
You knowing your own stuff gets you respect, but only so much, because people, quite frankly, should expect you to know your stuff. It's when you know everybody else's stuff. When somebody says, well, XYZ's sales method is, say, that's not his sales method. His sales method is this, 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 and this, and here's why they do that. And well, how do you know? Because I've studied it. Why have you studied it? Do you use it? No, I studied it because there's going to be somebody who asks about it, and I'm the authority in the sales arena. So I need to know what the great Chet Holmes taught, or what Blair Singer taught, or what, pick another sales trainer here. I need to know their process so that I can serve my client.
Mm. I love that.
Well, it also gives you a great reference to what you're doing, right? And maybe sometimes of how not to do something.
Very much so.
Mhm.
Thinking about what we're talking about today, and anybody out there, and you said it perfectly, Scott, that there's a 23 or 24-year-old out there who's a life coach. This is not to discourage them, but keep going, right?
Yeah.
But keep adding those notches on your belt, in a way. And I don't mean notches so you're getting bigger and bigger in your waistline, but notches in your experience, the amount of people you connect with. Because I have met some people under 30 who are just brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
because they've done the research, the studying, the connections, and it does not take away because of their age. But I think a lot of times we have to also take a look at what they've done. So their actions, like
Yeah.
I keep talking about, actions is so critical. That what do you do first thing when you wake up in the morning? What do you do in the middle of your day? What do you do before you go to sleep? What are your intentions when you go to sleep? What are your intentions for the next day? Are you planning your days, or is someone else planning them for you? Because we all know if we don't have an agenda, man, if you're married,
Somebody does.
your wife will have your agenda, or your husband will have the, or if your partner will have your agenda, and they'll say, well, we got to go do this. Wait, I wasn't planning on that. Or too late, right? Because you don't have plans.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it again, knowing you fairly well, does a white belt learn from a white belt?
They could.
They could, but will they expand through the belts?
Never.
Or should they learn from a black belt, or a 4th degree black belt, or a 10th degree? Why are there different degrees in black belt? So the point, it's the same kind of thing. It's not a knock on somebody who's young who's claiming that. It's then go find the mentor and borrow their experience. If you're doing that, I'm cool with it. But it's when you just label yourself as that. That's what I'm saying. In this age of influence, we have people who are just, they're labeling themselves as, I'm this. Well, have you ever done it? No, but I think it'd be cool to say I did, or I think it's a cool area that people need help in. And it's like when somebody when somebody says, so if you're in an arena with 25,000 people, where is your focus as you're making that presentation? Well, if you've never done that, becomes a totally different answer than if you have done that. The reality is, when you're in an arena speaking in the round to 25,000, you literally can see the first 3 rows because the lights are so bright. So it doesn't make any sense to look up into the stands. It makes sense to look straight ahead at the people you can see in the last lit row. Hey, that's a tip on how to speak in front of 25,000 people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing, Sifu. If I were to ask you, you know, why, and I've asked this to you before, why do you learn forms in martial arts? So that you have the foundation to be able to then extrapolate and move without thinking. That's what basics and foundations are. It's setting that information. That happens through experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I am I'm 50 years in the martial arts world, and I love teaching white belts. And I know a lot of people who have less experience than me, and they're only maybe 20 years in the martial arts, and they're like, "Oh, I hate teaching white belts." I'm like, wow, you're that mighty. You're that great. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I love teaching little kids. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's such joy because they'll do the funniest things, but then they'll do things that make you think like, oh, I like the way you're thinking.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm still a white belt. You
Yeah.
know, I never said I was a black belt. I just never went to the next belt. It was so amazing. I stayed there. But for me, when I'm training other people to be trainers, instructors, it's not about just the movement. It's about what we say, how we say it, how we engage with another person. Unfortunately, too many martial artists have been caught doing the wrong thing. So now I have to teach how we can put our hands on another person, right? I have to. That's one of the classes I teach often, and I have to keep teaching it because people forget, right? And it's important that we are constantly in the game, not only teaching it, but showing why. There's a method, there's a system that we have to follow. So for me, even yesterday, I was teaching to several black belts, and I said to them, "Do you remember the time I did a staff form? A staff is a 6 foot or longer pole without a staff." They're like, "Yeah." I said, "Did it look like I didn't have the weapon in my hand?" They're like, "Absolutely not. We thought you had a weapon." I said, "Yeah." Why? I said, "Because I've done it millions of times."
Yeah.
So for me, it's second nature. Right now, you're questioning my guidance. But when you do it, it doesn't look like you have anything in your hands. So let's not look outward, but let's look inward so that we can become the expert we think we are, right? And even then, I always tell them, listen, in martial arts, I make a million mistakes, and I'm okay with that. I said, are you okay with that? Because there's nobody perfect. And if you, anybody listening or anybody here, if you ever meet a perfect person, please call me. I'll wake up. I'll drop everything. I need to meet them. I need to meet them.
Totally agree. You know, I mean, again, I think that's where it's about sharing things that have worked. And the only way that you know the things that have worked is you've also found out the things that don't work. And unfortunately, we live in a me, now, immediate gratification society far too often. And it's really about delayed gratification. It's about understanding I'll be okay if I help enough other people get what they want. That's why I refer to Zig Ziglar multiple times a day, because that's a foundational and a guiding light, right? That's a North Star. That quote alone is a North Star. That's why you have mentors. You have people who set things in place. I was blessed to play Big Ten football. I played for the amazing Hayden Fry, the most amazing, legendary coach on the planet, I believe, during that time. And we used to I was a kicker, a punter and kicker. And at the end of practice, we'd start and we'd kick and we'd move 5 yards back into the corner and kick and back to the middle and kick and back. And we'd serpentine back and forth from 25 yards all the way to 55 yards. Some pretty tough kicks as fast as we could do it with the entire team moving. And one day he chewed my butt after every kick, and I made every one of them. They were right down the pipes. It was amazing. And he chewed my butt after every kick. And after the eighth one from 55 on the angle, this is tough. And I drill it. And he chews me again. And I spun around. I said, Coach, I don't get it. I've just drilled 8 kicks in a row and you chewed my butt after every one of them. What's up? And he just looks and he says, son, don't concern yourself when I'm chewing your butt. Only concern yourself when I stop, because then I don't give a damn.
Wow.
It's a great
Best life lesson in history right there.
Yeah.
So I share that. And I said, when somebody's working to share a thought with you, that maybe it could be better if you did this, or maybe you'd have more success if you did that. Don't get upset with them. Thank them for wanting to invest in you. That's all I want to do with salespeople today. I want those. There's 8.5 billion people on the planet. I think I can help them all. Do I expect to? No. All I want is the ones who want to be helped. And I'm in. If you want to, I'll help you with the rest. And because sales is an honorable profession. Why is it honorable? Because you're providing solutions. How could that not be? You're serving. It's ultimately about service. Think about any nonprofit. What are they doing? They're providing service. Actually, what they're doing is selling. Well, how come they're not evil? Because you look at it differently. And so again, that's, if you can tell, I'm fairly passionate about this. All I want to do is help people achieve what they want to achieve in their life. It's not about me. It's about them. It's about taking this and going, here, it's available to you. Do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
When you consider all we've been talking about, sales, being honorable, being trustworthy, doing your due diligence, every day we have that choice, how we're going to live it, right? When you wake up in the morning, how's your day based on, I know that I can go throughout my whole day and I can have people yelling and cursing at me and the whole deal, but it bounces off me. It bounces off me because of what I did to prepare for the day, what I did the night before to prepare for the day. Now, will I get upset? Not with people who are yelling and screaming at me, but I will get upset at me if I allow it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds me again, and sorry, I share a bunch of concepts because it's just what I do. But it's like when somebody says, Scott, you have green hair. Now I have a choice. I can say, oh, they're making fun of me. I got green hair. Oh, or I can say, well, they knew that they could say that to me because I've got enough self-esteem that it would just bounce off of me. And they just used me as an example. I had a choice. It's not what anybody ever says to you that counts.
That's right.
It's what you say to you when they stop talking. And so if I say, Sifu's playing with me because we're great friends and he knows that he can rib me a little bit, cool. Or I can go, I wonder if Sifu really means that. Does he really? Oh, gosh, is he? You know what I'm saying? It's not what he said. It's how I take it and interpret it and then respond to it. What do I say to me? And and that's why when people sit there and say, well, I don't want to be a used car salesman or I don't want to be salesy. My answer is, then don't. They go, well, what do you mean? Well, then learn how not to be. I mean, it's a choice. Stop saying, I don't want to be salesy, because it's implying that you're being salesy. And the reality is, if you're selling, you should be proud of it because you're providing a solution. That, for me, again, you heard me do it earlier. It's like, hey, Nikki, would you like to take advantage of this now? No, now's not a good time. Okay, well, what would be a better time? Well, probably 30 days then. Okay, cool. Nikki, can we talk, say, in 25 days? So that when the 30 days comes, we've had another conversation, we've circled back around. Would that work for you? Yeah, that would be great. See, today's activity does not determine today's volume. Today's volume was determined by what you did 30, 60, 90 days ago. Today's activity determines what happens 30, 60, 90 days from now. If you're not doing enough business today, it's not about today. It's about what you didn't do in the past.
Yeah.
So therefore, today, and watching this show and hearing this message is a point of demarcation.
Yeah.
Do more today, learn more today, invest in yourself more today, reach out to Nikki for her greatness, reach out to Sifu for his greatness, and learn more. And from this day forward, you will improve. It's okay. You got to, whatever happened in the past is the past.
I got to say, in sales, it's always ABC, right? Always be closing. But I also like to refer to as always be compassionate, right?
Yeah.
And in sales, the most important thing is the close, but then the afterwards. And at this point, because we've been talking about sales, we got to get to the close because the show's closing.
Oh no, already?
I know, right? So Scott, we need you to come back, my friend. You know that we love,
yes.
Love your insights and everything else that you've shared with us. Scott, you have about 30 seconds to tell us what somebody can expect when they reach out to you on your website.
Well, when you reach out to me, you're going to get what you need to serve you. It's not about me. I'm the dancing monkey. You're the one who needs the information or is striving for the information. I would encourage you to reach out and do that, because I'll handle you appropriately with respect, honor, and dignity, and we'll get you to where you want to go. And 45 years of doing it, there's not very many questions you can ask or situations you can suggest that I haven't already lived over and over again. And all I want to do is take that expertise and wisdom and share it with you so you can accomplish what you want to do.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. And thanks, Mike, for that comment, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Nikki.
Love your energy, Scott.
Well, thank you.
Nikki, you are up.
Thank you, Sifu. I'm Nikki Gangemi, Mindful Matters, personal trainer for your mind. And I am excited about serving people this month at my monthly workshop experience, where it's the High Achievers Code, how to reframe self-worth from the inside out. That's a big part of the work that I do, helping people to reframe the way they talk to themselves and seeing the greatness inside of them, and then going after what you want.
Yeah, love it, love it. And I'm Sifu Rafael. What can I say? I am like Scott, really simple. SifuRafael.com. For me, it's about enhancing people's lives through communication and fitness. It's actually going to be doing my 90-day mind-body method, and it's going to be something really incredible where we go into detoxing, fasting, mindset, hydration, and journaling. It's everything that we need to do so we can reclaim our lives. Because if you're an executive, or if you're a family person, or if you have a wife, a husband, whatever, I'm offering it to the whole family as well. So it's not just for one, it's for the entire family. So think about that. Reach out to me. And thank you so much for being on this show, Scott. Nikki, you're an incredible co-host. And what can I say? Do me a favor, because I got another show coming. Share the show with someone, because they need to hear it.
Yes.
God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.